The world begins in darkness, a seemingly insignificant speck in the grand scheme of things. As the last trace of the eggshell shatters, the only thing I feel is the sudden rush of freedom and fear. I am not born like the creatures that roam in the open, with eyes filled with wonder or hearts set to conquer the world. No. I am born with an instinctual drive to survive, a force I cannot comprehend but know will govern my every action from this moment forward. The first breath of life I take is the sharp taste of humidity and dirt. There's no light here, and no soft lullaby to welcome me into the world. I have no mother's comforting embrace or the warmth of a family nest to greet me. Instead, the coldness of my new world is overwhelming. I'm tiny, weak, and completely exposed in the face of dangers that I can't yet comprehend. My legs are shaky, my body squirming through layers of filth and grime, which is the only world I know. Every move I make is calculated for survival. The instinct to keep moving, keep searching, to avoid being crushed by the weight of everything else around me. I have no protective shell, no claws to defend myself, and yet my survival depends on a sharp set of instincts. I am small, barely visible to the human eye, but the reality is that I have already entered a battle for my life. My very existence begins in the dirt, in filth among countless others of my kind, struggling to find my way through the endless abyss of this vast world. The presence of so many others doesn't comfort me. I do not know them, but instinctively, I know I must avoid them. The competition for survival is fierce. At first, I cannot even comprehend the journey I have embarked upon. The world around me is unkind and unfamiliar. There are no comforting words, no welcoming sounds of a parent, no assurance that I'll make it through. Instead, there is only the pressure to keep moving, keep surviving. And that is all I know. For the next moments, days, weeks, and months, my life will be nothing but a chaotic scramble for food, for shelter, and for my place in a world that seems set up to destroy me at every turn. As I grow, I begin to realize that I am not the only one struggling. Countless others born just like me are racing to survive, just as I am. We share a common purpose, but not a common fate. The struggle to thrive is universal, and yet each of us is alone in our personal battle. Every day, I venture out into a world that seems larger than I am. I find shelter in cracks and crevices, and for a brief moment, I feel the coolness of a dark corner where I can rest my weary body. But the world outside constantly calls to me, and I know that I cannot stay hidden forever. There's food out there. Food that will give me strength, food that will allow me to grow, to live another day. The constant search for nourishment becomes the core of my existence. Each meal is a fleeting victory, and each time I am forced to retreat. The fear that I will not find enough to survive gnaws at me. But in this endless cycle of survival, I begin to develop a sense of purpose. Food isn't just something to satisfy my hunger. It's the key to my continued existence. It's the reason I keep moving, the reason I keep fighting. I must feed, I must grow, and I must never stop. If I do, I will be swept away by the torrent of life's unforgiving nature. This, however, is only the beginning. As I grow stronger, I begin to understand that survival isn't just about the immediate. It's about the long term, about avoiding the traps set by predators, about surviving through the seasons, about enduring until I can make my mark in the world. Even if that mark is nothing more than the briefest moment of survival, before I disappear into the vast expanse of life. And so, I move forward, knowing that each step I take is a battle, a challenge, and a victory in the making. Surviving is not a luxury, it's a constant battle. As I venture further into the world, I am constantly on the move, searching for food, a place to hide, and a way to stay alive for just one more day. Every action is instinctual, every step calculated. From the moment I emerge into this hostile environment, I am exposed, vulnerable, and alone. The world is vast, but it is also a minefield. I must be careful not to become a meal for the many larger predators that share this world with me. From the moment I hit the ground, I am acutely aware of the dangers lurking in every crevice. Birds swoop down from above, their sharp beaks capable of striking at a moment's notice. Larger animals move through the tall grass, their eyes scanning for anything small and weak. The ground beneath me shifts as the shadows of predators grow longer. Yet the worst part of it all isn't just the looming threats. It's the struggle for food. Unlike larger creatures that can roam freely in search of sustenance, I must remain hidden, cautious and opportunistic. My life revolves around finding nourishment in the most unlikely places. The fur of mammals, the warmth of their bodies. But even that is not guaranteed. The first time I latch onto a host, I feel an overwhelming sense of triumph. The blood, warm and rich, courses through me, satisfying the hunger that gnaws at my insides. But this fleeting moment of victory is quickly overshadowed by the reality of survival. The blood may fill me for a while, but it will not last forever. The world around me continues to move, indifferent to my existence. Days turn into weeks, and the constant search for food becomes exhausting. Every encounter with a new host brings a mixture of hope and fear. Hope because the meal may sustain me for a little longer, and fear because I know that I am always at risk of being discovered, swatted away, or worse, crushed underfoot. I must be quick, silent, and efficient. I have no time for rest. There is no comfort, no place to call my own. My existence is defined by survival, and survival requires constant motion. Each day is a race against time, a desperate effort to find food before I grow weak, a constant avoidance of predators that could end my life in an instant. And so, I move, always searching, always hiding, always afraid. But there are moments of respite, small victories that keep me going. The warmth of a new host, the sensation of feeding that momentarily eases the ache in my body, the feeling of safety that comes with finding a new hiding spot. These fleeting moments become the only comfort I know. I am alive, and that is all that matters. But the world is changing. As I search for food, I begin to notice the subtle shifts in my environment. The once plentiful sources of nourishment are becoming scarcer. The creatures I rely on for sustenance are fewer, harder to find. The world seems to be growing colder, emptier. I feel it in the air, in the spaces between my meals. Something is wrong. Something is changing, and I can't help but wonder if I am running out of time. It had been months since I first emerged into this world, and now as I scurried across the surfaces of a new home, I felt a deep sense of weariness that I could not shake. I had lived a life of constant motion, always searching, always feeding, always avoiding danger. But as I aged, I began to question the meaning of it all. What had I achieved? What had been the purpose of this endless survival? I had never known comfort, never known peace. My entire existence had been about one thing: survival. But as time passed, I began to see the bigger picture. I wasn't just struggling against predators or the environment. I was struggling against time itself. Every day felt like a repetition of the last. Feed, hide, feed, hide. I had no family to speak of, no one to share this life with. I was a solitary creature, bound to the world by instinct alone. And yet, despite the hardships, there was a certain beauty in it all. My body, small and insignificant as it was, had managed to survive in a world that seemed indifferent to my existence. I had endured the elements. I had faced predators, and I had outlived countless others of my kind. And now, as I grew older, I felt the weight of all those years. My body was slowing down, my movements were less sharp, and I began to feel the inevitable approach of death. But it didn't terrify me the way it once had. I had lived, and in the end, that was enough. But the world was still changing. The humans, the creatures, the environment. It was all changing, and it made me wonder, what would happen to the next generation of fleas? Would they survive? Or would they too face the same struggles I had? I couldn't answer that question. But as I lay in a quiet corner feeling the last traces of energy leaving my body, I found solace in one truth. Life was a struggle, but it was also beautiful in its own way. Every moment, every breath, every heartbeat, it was all part of the cycle, part of the journey. And as I closed my eyes for the last time, I felt at peace. The story of a flea's life, from birth to death, may seem small and insignificant, but it carries with it a powerful message. Every life, no matter how small or seemingly unimportant, plays a role in the ecosystem. We, as humans, must learn to respect all forms of life, no matter how small or how fleeting they may seem. The flea's journey teaches us about resilience, survival, and the deep connection between all living things. It reminds us that every creature, no matter how tiny, deserves to live with dignity and respect. As we go through our daily lives, let us remember the lesson of the flea, the importance of respecting every life, no matter how small, and the responsibility we all share in protecting the world around us.